Peace up, man. Right there, man. This is my from my drug court paperwork. The Maltese cross right there. And then you back out. Right? It's Thor, man. And that's all my love and respect for all my family and all the things I've done in my life. There are some new items on there. Right there. Right there. But anyways, this is like a representation of some powerful love in my life, man. But what is peace up? What is peace up? So you guys are like, you hear me talk about it, right? And some of you have read like my paperwork and you've probably gone at some of it, right? Because it really talks about, I talk about like gangs and drugs and underground families. And so Peace Up spent its first 12 years underground, okay? So it was directed at a selected audience, but it was also directed at the people who were in that world. So I talk about the underground world, the ghetto world, it's just what's right there, okay? Now, Peace Up is not really underground, okay? It's not really underground. It's so above ground and so alive and so many people that you'd be amazed. Because Peace Up is simply this. Whatever you can do, or whatever I can do, or whatever we can do, unified, beyond all our differences, in a state of honor. My glass is dirty. In a state of honor to change our communities. That sounds like a high order, but it doesn't when you're dealing with people who are of honor, or of compassion, or of creation. Man, when you run across these things, I don't have to do the thing no more. I got proper wipes. When you find this creation, okay, you find this creation among humanity, okay? And so long ago, my ideas of urban gardening, 15, 20 years ago, I'm talking about recycling, urban gardening, the move away from corn to small farms, eating healthier I'm talking about the whole community coming together to do this. I talk about and then I went into my work with Peace Up and I began talking to a select audience. Now, and if you read through it, it's going to be a little confusing. I say start at Peace Up Exodus and then go to Peace Up number 1 and then go back to, and then read it. Or read it backwards. Read it, my 8th writing to all the way to the first one. But you have to understand that each writing is a time period. Each writing is an expression of myself in the concept of Peace Up and how I dealt with it. So when I talk about Peace Up Dragon, and there's a lot of drug talk, and there's a lot of criminal talk, and there's a lot of like world that most people don't see. What I'm telling you in Peace Up Dragon, I started about talking about walking with my graduation, right? I talk about the long fight, man. Peace Up Dragon I was jail's institution or death, man. I had to find something more powerful to bring me back to the man I was before I became a not meth addict, okay? That just happened to be one of the, a drug that got me there. There's other ones that were not good for me too, right? But let's say it was the dysfunction behind that, man. That took a time to grow. It takes time to be an addict, to be sick. Either something happened at your childhood, post-traumatic stress, something happened while a lot of these young girls, the stories the girls have talked to me, like, a homeboy was talking about Brenda had a baby, Tupac, and then, Luda was talking about, this little girl and how she had to, and I'm like, dude, man, I've heard so many stories from so many girls because they talk to Thor, all right? there's a relationship between me and the ladies that you all won't understand. And that's because I walked this way for a long time and I see into them. And because I used to be one who hurt them with my hands and my voice, and I changed that and I broke that inside me. I broke that weakness and I represent for those men. And I stand and I testify and I speak to these women and say, man, you know, and I let them know that it was a weak man who does these things. Women need to hear this. They need to hear the real man stand up and say these things. Okay? So I represent there. I represent with jails, institution, and death because, yes, look, I'm medical marijuana. I probably won't ever quit smoking. I probably won't smoke a lot because I got things to do in my life. But right now I have to smoke because of medical marijuana. Keeps me alive and keeps me moving. Y'all want to see me put my shoulder out a second? Alright. Put it back in. We cool. You, man, what can you do? I taught myself to walk again, to use my arms. I have to work out to like fix my hands, to keep my hands moving. I have to move all these directions. I have to work out constantly and run and like just to walk, man, just to stand here and have a talk with you for a minute without all over the place. Peace up, man. So you'll find it in Dragula. Peace up, I am the cat. You hear Dre talk about it. You can go back and you hear Tupac talk about it. You can go back further and you'll probably find it here and there. It is something that is American. It's wider than American. Because that's when I first developed it. I developed it to deal with the religions, not much less like social breakdown. I was talking like religious breakdown, causing countries to fight. So I developed this, but I looked at it more for, I'm American, how can I help America? How can I represent to them? How can I represent to all of them so they hear me? So they don't say, this is a black guy talking to me, or a white guy, or a biker, or a chef, or a man who's been beaten down, or a man who's had high college, or a man who's been to the White House, or a man who had the honor, I say, of going to the Summit Boot Camp Program prison, or the opportunity to go to drug court, the opportunity and the honor and the joy of going to college. All right? So, peace up is alive in each and every person who picked up my writing over the many years, who heard my words of, can you be a better person? One guy here, you know, somebody was still talking about him saying, oh, he's doing drugs. I'm like, so what, man? He's not fighting anymore. He got that. I'm not going to, you know, I ain't one to be like out saying drugs is bad because they're going to be around. I'm saying the bullshit around the drugs sometimes needs to be mopped up because you screw with your community, you screw with the whole thing, and you break up your community, and that's not what, that's what the drugs are sent in to do, but we're stronger than that. We're better than that. This shit's been on the street for 30 years, man. Us G's, we, you know, we understand, we respect. I ate my dragon because I know. I know. You know what I mean? I'd take a hold of that sucker. Like, you know. But they're going to be there. What do? Well, you stop the dysfunctions that start the addictions. That's what you do. You work on the social problems. You look at the social entropy and how, in 1984, as I write in Peace Up Fire, the breakdown, I go into the ghetto from my white suburbia. I lived white suburbia. Yeah. Total sheltered white, almost, no, not blue blood, but definitely, I've been to White House twice, you know, definitely in social circles of high level, where dad is a white man, mom is a white woman in professional standing, and me as a well brought up young man. I spoke earlier, I saw these rebel flag and American flag together, and I had to post it. And I was like, man, because Southern style and gentry and northern fashion and stature and gentry. That makes America beautiful, man. The fact that we are different, but we are American. So, I fly both flags. I talk about being of love, LLR, with my brothers, whatever MC they roll, because of the deep honor that I have and respect for brothers who are, as they call themselves, soldiers, not civilians. I respect that. I know what that is, because for these years, since I started Peace Up in 2000, I've been soldiering. Because when people try to kill you, and you keep doing the same thing, because you believe in it with your heart. Now, I didn't know what it would take from me. I didn't know what sacrifices that I would have to give up for it. 25 years of massive sacrifices overall. So I look back at what the police did to my life in the beginning. But this is how I come forward and be able to tell this story. To tell the story of the breakdown, how suddenly in the beginning of the summer you went to the, like I said, from suburbia into those little neighborhoods, and you had the blacks and the Hispanics and the Italians and the Polish. This is in the 1980s, man. 1970s, we were just ebony and ivory was happening. In the early 80s, man, black was beautiful, white was beautiful, everybody was chill. I mean, we were letting all the races come in. We were giving so much love to everybody, and then all of a sudden that crack come. Hey, yo, niggas, really, niggas, got some crack cocaine for you. And I want you to give it to the white people. Because we are crack cocaine. We come from cartels. We don't give a fuck about you. We have people out there looking for your daughter so we can make fucking... Dude, the counselor, man. The reality of traffic counselor. What's going on? The reality of when I put a board up in Memorial the first time for 63 names dead, I made the paper, I had the news call on me, I was clean. The mayor showed up. We talked about things. I said some things I said things that are happening now, way back then, which didn't make sense. But I'm like, blood money deserves to go back into the community. I didn't say it in the way it needed to be said, but I'm like seeing it back in the 70s, watching these movies, shows like Quincy and Chips and all these old shows where they're like, the very ideas of Peace Up. Gather the elders with the children, because the elders need love and the children need direction, and the parents will allow it because elders are treated with honor. And the elders, who are many of them locked away with great wisdom. And that's one of my beliefs in Peace Up. But man, these things are important. These things are a basis for our community. Read the 10 things. Honor. Gosh, they're in there. Honor. I'm not going to try to pull my memory right now, but each and every one is a step. I mean, like the most powerful one, the most one I had to think the longest about, well, besides honor, which is the last one I ended, and number 10, we must make amends, was number 4, all beings are sacred. And I'm like, how do you explain that? And you're like, well, you live in harmony with life. Living in harmony with life means that we don't continue to load our community with plastic and plastic and plastic and plastic and put our food in plastic because it's all made from oil. Okay? Why isn't it made from something organic, which should have been happening years and years ago? Why? Because the crack cocaine came in and the drug war started, and we started really getting scared. And everybody got scared. So I'm telling you about 1984 in the summer, and all of a sudden, crack came in. All the niggas was running crazy. It's true. Running through windows and anything, because, boy, that stuff is chemically for black people, really. Homeboy didn't tell me he from Baltimore, and he's telling the truth. He's like, you want something done, like, get a crackhead to do it. They just so quick, and because it really messes with Afro Americans. So we have this all come up. We have the G's with but in that summer, we went from a community that was outside that would deal with the first line of dysfunctions, and that would lead to addiction. You have a dysfunction, you have a trauma, you have a pain, you have something in your life you can't deal with, and you continue to hide and use drugs in some form, alcohol, and then you create the dysfunction, because while you're hiding is not good right there. Okay? And then you start your dysfunction. Some dudes, thieves, sex, violence, cutting themselves. How many dysfunctions can you name? But, you know, put them all out there, from the ladies working at night to the dude slaying to the dude who can't, you know, who's got to run a scam to get his heroin every day, man. It's just so many different twists and turns of it, right? We can look at the depravities of it, or we can say, how do we become a community again? How do we find the pillars of our community, the men and women who want to make a difference, and put them all together, and then have them have their voice and their music and their entertainment and their wisdom and their idea, because peace up is not my idea, it's your idea. It's the next person's. It's the next person's. It's not me. It changes with every single reader, and that's the beauty of it, man. It's like the Constitution, other than the fact that we say all people are created equal, and then we try to create a community in a republic where that is the reality. Peace up is the same thing. Peace up is a direct response to personal growth, personal response to community. And yeah, it's more than an activist, man, because ain't nobody know I was out there for a long time. I was doing time, and I was being locked up, and I was going to prison, or not prison, jail, and doing drug court, and then going through college, and, you know, beat my addiction and eat my dragon, and then dealing with my handicap and severe traumas. And, like, you know, there's never been a moment where I just said, be upon this moment, see what peace up is. So upon this moment, I give you a little look at it. If you start listening, you'd be like, dang, Marshall Mathers, Black Eyed Peas. When you're going to change something, you got to look at the long haul. That's all I got to say. The natives look 7 generations ahead. What do you think the people in the 60s did? Okay? The free thinkers, the ones who are changing everything, the ones who are out there, like the ones who fell in love with King, man, with Gandhi, with Huey Newton, with Sonny Barger, with, you know, the voices of a nation. John Lennon, man. Do you feel me? JFK, man. Do you understand? We had people out there that were like, they were the voices and the leaders, and they were the loved ones. Now we still got them. Snoop Lion, Dre, Oprah Winfrey, all the greats are beginning to hover and see what must be done. I mean, and like, look, this is something that must be done. I would much rather live with a bunch of people than in my own little hovel costing me way too much money. I'd rather share my gifts with a household of people. I would rather that my mom and my dad and my grandma, we was all in the same house or close, man, because that's the way it was. Our strength in the 50s and the 30s and the 40s was that we were all together. We weren't locked in our cubicles. We weren't locked away by our opinions. We weren't have all this drama, because Mom said this before. I'll say it like this. Excuse me, God. Amen. Motherfuckers. Amen. You walk out the door with the same thing in your mind. That you want to have a good day, joyous day. You want to be good in your day. You want to find good in your day. And you want to come home with that same thing. Somewhere we get lost along the way. Somewhere we forget, like, how many sit there and do that? Bless the Lord, and these are good to the seed around body, Christ the Lord. I went to Catholic school. We could say that shit. Yes. But you know what I mean? Who done heart in heaven? Hallowed be your name. You bring it upon you to say it and sing it. And though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, and I run, and I stand, they comfort me. It is not just skip diddle through this thing, man. We got to step to it with love and grace and acceptance and forbearance. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I am found. 'Twas blind, but now I see. Upon that, upon amen, upon the very essence of your soul, upon the very essence of who you are, peel back all the lies that we hold about ourselves and bring forward truth and love and who you are, and be upon that moment that you see that your life and destiny come together. That is the existence of peace up, man. That is the expression of peace up. That is the ethos and the love and the motion of rising forward and believing in something that is beyond us, greater than us, but can be us. And we can be it. And we can be upon this place to find it. So let this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, peace up has gotta shine. Won't you find a little time to say, look inside a moment, and if you choose to pray, find a little thing inside and say, I can be a better man or woman in this wasteland today. I can be a better American and raise up the USA. Peace up, America. Amen. Thor.